When you picture building a hiking trail, you probably imagine people with shovels and pickaxes carving a path through the wilderness. But what if I told you that today, the most important tools are actually data and collaboration? We're going to dive into how the future of our trails is being built not just with sweat and soil, but with smart data that forges digital connections just as strong and lasting as the physical paths themselves. All right, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to untangle the mess that trail data is in right now. Then, I'll show you a really elegant solution using something called linked data. We'll break down the three big ideas that make it all work, see it in action with a fantastic case study, and then we'll wrap up by looking at the huge potential this whole thing unlocks. Okay, so let's get right to it. What is the actual problem we're trying to fix here? Come on, we've all been there, right? You're out in the woods, you're trusting the map on your phone, and then, poof, the trail just disappears. Or that water source it promised, nowhere to be found. It's so frustrating. And that feeling, that frustration, it's really just the tip of the iceberg of a much deeper, hidden problem. See, the real issue is that the information is just everywhere. It's totally fragmented. You've got the local town managing the bathrooms, the county handling the nature reserves, tourism groups publishing transport schedules, and volunteers who are the only ones reporting down trees. Every single group has its own map, its own database, its own local version of the truth. And the result? It's chaos. You get out-of-sync maps, updates that take forever, and ultimately a pretty lousy experience for the hiker. So, all this chaos, it's clear we need a completely different way of thinking about this. Instead of everyone keeping their own separate, messy notes, what if we could build one single shared brain? And this is the big idea right here. The fundamental shift. We just stop making endless, outdated copies of information. Instead, we create direct links to a single, trusted source. And this slide just lays it out perfectly. On the left, you've got the old way, these isolated data silos. Think of them like separate, walled-off gardens of information that can't talk to each other. But on the right, you see the new way, a connected web. Everyone, from the government official to the volunteer on the trail, is pointing to and updating the very same data. Okay, so how does this shared brain actually work its magic? Well, it all comes down to three simple but really powerful principles. Principle number one is what we call the single source of truth, or SSOT for short. This just means that for anything out there, a trail marker, a toilet, a scenic viewpoint, there is one and only one official record for it. That's the key. If a hiking app needs that info, it doesn't make a copy, it just points directly to that single trusted source. Second, for that pointing system to work, every single object needs its own unique address. We call this a persistent identifier, or a URI. The best way to think about it is like a permanent social security number, but for a park bench or a ferry stop. It's a unique ID that never changes, so no matter what app or system you're using, it always refers to that one specific thing in the real world. Okay, but here's the kicker. Big platforms like Wikidata and OpenStreetMap, well, they each have their own system of unique identifiers. So as you can see here, both of these crazy long web addresses are actually pointing to the exact same thing in the real world, the Stockholm Archipelago Trail. So how do we tell a computer that these two different IDs are actually talking about the same trail? And this is the secret sauce. It's a tiny little piece of code called OWL same as. Think of it like a digital translator. It's a simple command that tells any system, hey, you see this ID from Wikidata? And this other one from OpenStreetMap? Yeah, they're the same thing. This one little command is the glue that connects everything together, building a true web of linked data. All right, I know this might all sound a little techy and abstract, so let's bring it all down to earth with an amazing real-world example where these principles have created a truly living, breathing map, the Stockholm Archipelago Trail. So the SAT is this absolutely stunning 270-kilometer trail in Sweden. But thanks to this linked data approach, it's become more than that. It's a dynamic, collaborative hub where information is constantly being updated and shared by dozens of different groups in real time. And this is where you can see that co-creation just come to life. You've got the official government bodies providing core data on facilities and nature reserves. You've got tourism groups adding transport links. But here's the game changer. You have volunteers and the general public acting as the eyes and ears on the ground. reporting issues, adding photos, and making sure the data reflects what's actually happening on the trail right now. And just to give you a sense of the scale we're talking about, for this one trail, there are over 687 unique mapped objects in Wikidata alone. That's not just the trail itself. That's almost every single bench, signpost, and viewpoint along a 270-kilometer path. It's an incredible level of detail. And these aren't just, boring data points. They're things that genuinely matter to a hiker. We're talking 82 barbecue areas, 69 directional signs to keep you from getting lost, 56 ferry stops, and what's not even listed here, 26 publicly accessible defibrillators. I mean, think about that. That's information that could literally save someone's life. And this might be one of the coolest payoffs of all. Because the data is structured in this smart way, it's language agnostic. That just means a tourist from Japan, Germany, or Brazil can pull up a map on their phone, and all this rich information appears in their own native language automatically. It just completely removes the language barrier, making the trail accessible to the entire world. So we've got this amazing data engine humming along in the background. But what does that really mean for you, the person who's actually out there on the trail with boots on the ground? Well, it's pretty simple, really. Better data means a better experience, period. It means you can finally trust your map. You can plan your trip with real confidence, knowing exactly what to expect around every single bend in the trail. Let me give you a perfect example of this in action: trail difficulty. OpenStreetMap uses a standardized system called the SAC scale. It basically classifies trails from T1, which is like an easy walk in the park, all the way up to T6, which is serious, difficult alpine climbing. Having a standard like this is absolutely huge for hiker safety. And you can see how this creates a pipeline to safety, right? It all starts with everyone agreeing on a standard, like the SAC scale. Then, because all the data is linked, map makers can easily pull that information and show it visually, maybe with different colors or line styles. And the result is incredibly powerful. A hiker can just glance at a map and instantly understand if a trail is a good match for their skill level, which helps prevent them from getting in way over their heads. Okay, let's zoom out for the final big idea here. This model, it's not just for hiking trails. I mean, imagine applying this exact same collaborative, linked data approach to city parks, to public transit systems, to our national waterways, really to any shared public resource. The potential to improve our public spaces together is just absolutely enormous. This model took a simple hiking path and transformed it into a living, intelligent global resource. So the question it leaves us with is a really powerful one. What public resource should we transform next?